This is the many channels of cable. Episode 5. The version of me I had to let die. I'm going to start by explaining the architecture of change. We spend so much of our lives obsessed with the becoming. We treat growth like an addition. More skills, more confidence, more light. But we don't talk nearly enough about the subtraction. We don't talk about the quiet, heavy work of letting go. This episode isn't about a transformation that happened overnight. It's about a version of me I had to, how do I put this, intentionally release, so I could finally grow. I want to be clear. That version of me wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a failure or a flaw. It was a masterpiece of survival, built for a season of my life that has now reached its natural end. Like a coat that kept me warm through a long winter, it was essential. Until the first day of spring made it a burden. And as for the anatomy of safety, that version of me was a shadow walker. It knew the precise art of staying agreeable. It was an expert at reading the room, anticipating disappointment before it even stepped through the door, and diffusing it with a smile. It knew how to be impressive, yes, but only within the lines. It knew how to be successful without being disruptive. It was the architect of the smooth surface, even when there was a riot happening inside my chest, even when my spirit wanted to push back or scream out. That version of me. That version of me? It kept the water still. For a long time. That version kept me safe. And safety is a seductive thing. But there is a dangerous tipping point where safety begins to look exactly like stagnation. If you stay in the harbor too long, the ship doesn't stay new. It just rots. As I began working on Mouthy, I started running into that old ghost everywhere. Every time I sat down to write a piece that felt raw. The kind of writing that leaves you feeling a bit exposed, a bit unguarded. That old version of me would tap me on the shoulder. It whispered that I should pull back. It suggested I make the language more abstract, more palatable, more distant. It wanted me to hide behind metaphors, so no one could see the skin underneath. I realized then, that wasn't writer's block. That was my old self, trying to protect me from the very thing I needed most, to be seen. Letting go of that version didn't feel like a proverbial victory. It didn't feel like a ta-da moment, or a scene from a movie where the music swells, and everything is suddenly clear. Honestly, it felt like grief. Because growth doesn't always feel empowering at first. Sometimes growth feels like losing your skeleton. It feels like losing the only structure you've ever known, even if that structure was starting to crush you. There is a strange, echoing loneliness that comes with outgrowing yourself. You find yourself in a hallway where the old habits, the ones that used to keep the peace, no longer work. But the new habits haven't quite formed their shape yet. You are a creature between shells. If you are in that space right now, that quiet, uncomfortable in-between, I want you to hear me. It does not mean you are failing, no. It means you are crossing. You are in the middle of the bridge and the fog is thick. But you are moving. You don't have to hate who you were to love who you are becoming. You don't have to spit on your past to honor your future. You can look back at that old version of yourself, thank it for the miles it carried you, and still decide that you are going to walk the rest of the way alone. You can honor what that version endured and still choose to be someone entirely new today. This has been the Many Channels of Cable. Love yourself, be mouthy, and stay tuned.